audio intros for the show today.
Nice.
So there's a special audio intro that only the people listening live or watching the video later will hear. So we're good. Yeah, you know the deal. You know how this works. Let's go. I'm gonna count us down. I'm gonna try this.
I'm gonna watch.
Till I get around to making that 20 hertz tone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Daily Tech News Show. I'm Big Jim along with Little Sam, and we'll be your introducers for this podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you on board listening with us. We'd like to take the next few moments to demonstrate the safety features of this podcast. A show note summary card is located in the seat pocket in front of you or attached to this download. Please pull it out and review along with us. For those of you seated in an exit row, you may be required to assist the producer in the event of an emergency evacuation. If you are unable to or do not wish to perform the functions as described, please contact the flight attendant to reseat you. In the event of a loss of pressurization, a donation option will be available to you at dailytechnewsshow.com/donate. To start the flow of contribution, please select the method closest to you and contribute kindly. Although your contribution may not inflate, donations will still flow to this podcast. It's important that you secure your own donation prior to assisting others. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Producers and guests will now be making their final safety checks prior to takeoff. At this time, we'd like to ask that you please bring your seat backs and tray tables in their upright and locked positions, stow all carry-on items, and lower headrests. At this time, due to new federal aviation regulations, all portable electronic devices must be switched on and remain on for the duration of the podcast. The Daily Tech News Show is a participant-sponsored podcast, and your compliance is required with all lighted signs at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, along with the posted placards and crew member instructions. The tampering with, disabling of, or destroying of this podcast is prohibited by federal law. We now invite you to sit back, relax as Captain Barrett and crew take us out for our departure, and thank you for flying the bearded skies.
My fellow Australians, we pirate more than anyone else in the world. How about paying for some content at patreon.com/acedetect.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 3rd, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, Eklund, founder of Hockeybuzz.com. How's it going, Ek?
It's going great, Tom. How are you?
I'm good, man. You ready to ride the swift boat of news today?
Yes, absolutely.
We have a story involving Taylor Swift and Spotify in our main discussion, but first, the headlines. No, wait, that one, the headlines. The Nexus 9 and Nexus Player both are on sale in Google's Play Store today. Android Police reports the Nexus 9 shipping in the U.S. showing a couple of days after you order it, unless you want the sand color or the LTE model, which are still listed as coming soon. It's also available for in-store pickup at some Best Buys in the U.S. The Nexus Player, the one that's kind of like a Fire TV, takes a couple of weeks to ship if you order it. The Nexus 9 tablet is available in many countries worldwide. The Nexus Player, however, only available in the U.S. and Canada, just like NHL.
That's right.
9to5Mac got hold of a transcript of an internal Apple retail video in which Vice President of Retail and Online Stores Angela Ahrendts says, quote, "We're going into the holidays, we'll go into Chinese New Year, and then we've got a new watch launch coming in spring." Chinese New Year takes place on February 19th. Officially, Apple has said early 2015 as the watch's launch. So, do I keep saying launch, by the way? It's the watch's launch. But I guess that means probably late February or March would be likely launch times if she's saying after Chinese New Year.
Yeah, I mean, how long are they going to hold this, like, this secrecy thing? Like, this feels like the endings of it. Like, you know, I feel like we're sliding slowly down. Like, they don't really care that much anymore, I don't think.
Well, it just makes you wonder, do they actually have problems still with battery life that they're trying to work out? Or is this thing in the chute, and it's just like this was their schedule? Like, we're not going to make the holidays, we're not going to make Chinese New Year, so let's just put it right after that because we have a lot to deal with during those shopping times without a big product launch.
That's what it feels like.
Cold of Mac reports that USAA, PNC Bank, US Bank, Barclaycard, and the Navy Federal Credit Union have added support for Apple Pay today. That's actually 4 days ahead of schedule for USAA and PNC, although Colt of Mac reports some PNC customers are having issues verifying credit cards, so maybe that's why. Regarding the launch, Randy Hopper, Vice President of Credit Cards at Navy Federal, said, quote, "Our members live fast-paced and mobile lives." In other words, they feel the need for speed.
I don't agree here because I'm a USAA member. First off, my dad was in the military, and secondly, Apple Pay is in Pennsylvania is a whole lot different than Apple Pay in California. I was out in California. Apple Pay here is like, People at Whole Foods are like, "Whoa, you're gonna do that? Holy cow! Really? All right, come on over." Yeah, it's totally different.
I had the strangest thing happen to me with Apple Pay last night, and I have yet to. I meant to reproduce it this morning, and I didn't have time. I bumped my phone against my Nexus 7, and it said, "Would you like to pay?" And it gave me the fingerprint thing, and I'm like, that could be a very interesting attack vector for someone.
You just opened a portal to another world there.
Yeah, right? The Guardian reports all of musician Taylor Swift's back catalog has been removed from Spotify and a few other streaming services like Deezer. I checked Rdio this morning. It was still there. Swift's latest album has not been available on any of the streaming services, likely to help boost album and download sales. That album, 1989, that's the name of the album, may break Britney Spears' record for highest selling first week by a female solo artist in the United States. New York Post recently reported that Swift's label Big Machine is up for sale, so that could be another reason to pull it off the streaming services and try to tweak those sales up even farther.
So much to say about this later, Tom. So much.
Yeah, we've got lots to say. Not necessarily particularly about Taylor Swift, but also just about whether these streaming services are actually fair to artists or not. The Verge reports both Verizon and AT&T announced they expect to reach voice over LTE interoperability sometime in 2015. In other words, I make a call from AT&T to a Verizon customer, and it's voice over LTE the whole way. Voice over LTE routes calls over the company's data network, meaning you get Skype-like voice quality for cell phone calls, which oddly is something I would like, or FaceTime quality for you iPhone users. Among the phones that currently support voice over LTE are both iPhone 6s, the Galaxy S5, LG G2, but probably by the time this gets rolled out, we'll have some more phones that do support it. Gizmodo has a look at the new Google Calendar app that was part of the Android 5.0 Lollipop rollout. The app combines your inbox and finds event-based data that you might want and allows you to add events in sentence form, letting the app fill in the blanks with addresses from Google Maps, attendees from contacts, etc. It also features something called Assists, which will suggest people and places as you type and then learn what suggestions you prefer over time. It's Android Lollipop only for now, but it should be coming to Google Play for other OS users in the coming weeks, and eventually it'll come to iOS as well.
This will be great when you have when you write onto your calendar, blow off the account until next week, and it shows up on your wife's calendar. You're like, what is that about?
We should both blow off the account until next week. Oh, I'll add that to ex-wife's calendar. I think she needs to know that. Time for some news from you. These are submitted to our subreddit, as are many stories in the lineup. These are the ones we're specifically calling out today to thank folks. Thank everybody who submits stuff. I feel bad sometimes if a story's really popular and it gets a lot of votes in the subreddit and it's the top of our headlines. We don't mean to not thank you. You did your job. So get in there and join them. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Captain Kipper submitted the Verge report that you will never be getting anything done at work again. The Internet Arcade, a web-based library of coin-operated arcade games, has just released 900 classic arcade games for you to play in your browser at archive.org. Scrolling through the list is like getting whacked in the head with a nostalgia brick. It's got everything from Astro Invader to ZZYYZZYXX. I believe you might call that Zizix, but I don't think I've ever heard it said out loud. They have Millipede, many members of the Pac-Man family, Sega's Champion Baseball and Outrun, Atari's Temple of Doom and Return of the Jedi games, and you may report all bugs and tearful thanks to Jason Scott, the Internet Arcade operator. Check it out.
If you remember, Tom, I have a collection of about 25 80s arcade machines in my house, so I've been able to get work done. So it is possible to continue to get work done, but I will tell you this: it's a pretty freaking awesome thing.
You're inured to this, to the effects of this, because you're surrounded by them all the time.
I have a cubic machine a couple feet away from me right now, so it's that's difficult. It is, That's
pretty crazy though, and I love this. Remember, they did this with consoles, with classic console games at archive.org last year. Archive.org wants to be the internet's library, and they're doing a fine job of it, I have to say.
That's for sure.
OMG Cluck pointed out the Mozilla blog post about a browser coming for developers from Mozilla, a developer version of Firefox. Mozilla promises the new browser development tool will, quote, debug the whole web, allowing you to more easily build awesome web experiences. It also integrates some powerful new tools like Web IDE and the Firefox Tools Adapter. sounds like if it's done right, it's the kind of thing that will make you stop having to switch between a dozen different programs and roll them all into one. At least that's the idea. The tool should arrive November 10th. Names for it have not been announced. Names suggested in the DTNS subreddit include Earth Badger, Wind Ferret, Revolverocelot, and Snake.
You can't beat that.
I think the last one is the winner. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And finally, Mike P. Kennedy passed along the Engadget report that the Xbox One could get more affordable even after that holiday discount ends in January. Apparently, an AMD chip designer updated his LinkedIn resume with information that he had worked on a more efficient, quote, cost-reduced version of the Xbox One processor that, of course, everybody noticed, and the guy had to make his LinkedIn page private because, oops. Leaked AMD product roadmaps suggest that technology could be coming to new Xboxes or anything sometime in 2015.
So you can see the interview. Have you ever leaked anything before at your job, before when you were at Microsoft? Ever put anything out there that the whole world found out about early? And
this poor guy. Yeah, no, I get he probably didn't think. He's like, oh, I worked on a cost-reduced chip. Like, who's going to care? Who's going to notice that? And the internet's always watching. That's the lesson there. But could be a big deal for Xbox if they actually are able to make a significantly cost-reduced chip that doesn't take away from the power of the Xbox One, because they're in a little bit of a rearguard action now. They're in catch-up mode. They've got to catch the PS4.
I love the Xbox One. It's what we watch everything through here. It's really we actually bought two of them now. It's a great product.
I was on the beta version of Patrick Beja's new video game podcast Pixel this morning, and we were all talking about that platform, PS4 and Xbox One, and why it is that the PS4 is ahead right now, and what possibly the Xbox could do. But yeah, I like them both. I find the PS4 does draw me into playing games there quite often.
Yeah, I've only been over a friend's house with the PS4. I had a PS3, but I've only been over a friend's. The Xbox definitely draws me in a big way, and the kids love it. The kids love talking to it. It's really a great product.
All right, let's get into Taylor Swift. No, let's get into this story, which I gave you all the details in the headlines. All we know is that she has pulled, for some reason, her label has pulled her back catalog from Spotify. That's the biggest one. It's apparently gone from Deezer as well. And this is part of an ongoing action by many artists. Taylor Swift wrote an opinion in the Wall Street Journal recently saying that artists need to be paid better, they need to be paid for what they do, and that and she took the streaming services to task for this. So it's not a huge surprise to see her do something like this. I also think that the idea that Big Machine is trying to dust themselves up and make their numbers look good for sale, if the New York Post is correct, could have something to do with this as well. But generally, the perception is artists are not making enough money off of these streaming services. Ek, before we get into that general question, what do you think about this particular move by Ms. Swift? Oh, she got to him. He's gone. All right. Well, here, let me set it up for him while he gets back. Artists aren't making enough. Cellist Zoe Keating is one that is cited by a lot of people. She said she made $1,764.18 out of 403,035 plays in 2013. Now, Spotify says it pays to rights holders somewhere between 6 and 84 cents. Or I'm sorry, not even that, really. It's 0.006 and 0.0084 cents per play. But it's really, that's the effect of the calculation. The calculation is based on a percentage of the plays taken out of Spotify revenue. They basically say, how many times did somebody play your song out of the number of plays? That's your percentage. How much revenue did we make? Spotify keeps 30% of that. And then we take the other 70% and we divide it up to people based on their plays. And they say that lately that's been about 0.006 cents, 0.0084 cents. Now, when you put that out there, that makes it sound like a pittance, right? However, we also have the problem that Spotify isn't making money either. They pay out nearly 70% of their revenue, and they've been struggling to get more ad revenue for the free tier. They've been struggling to get more revenue in general. You've got Pandora out there who pays a higher rate because of their deal with Sound Exchange. They qualify as online radio, which means they have to pay at a different rate than Spotify. Spotify makes their deals directly with the labels. And Pandora has been saying they've been losing money forever, and they have been. They've been increasing their revenue, but they still aren't making a profit. So what's the solution here? We've got a couple of people in a big industry saying we don't make any money. The artists are saying we don't make any money. The companies, Spotify and the streaming services, are all saying that they're not making any money. If that's the case, somebody's got to be making money out of this, and the answer is generally the labels. In fact, Tom York of Radiohead is often perceived to be against the streaming services, and he is, but not for the reason you might think. He said, make no mistakes, new artists you discover on Spotify will not get paid. Meanwhile, shareholders will shortly be rolling in it. Simples. And he's pointing out, he called it the fart of a dying corpse. In other words, he thinks the entire music industry is falling apart, and these Spotifys and Deezers are just a mainstream Band-Aid solution for the industry as a whole. Here's the thing. The old model was you play things on the radio for free. In the United States, you seriously play them for free. There's no performance royalty. There's only there's no performance royalty. There's only a royalty that you have to pay mechanically to the composer. So you don't have to pay the artist. You only pay the composer. And of course, the artist, the composer, you pay a little bit, but you pay a very small amount worldwide, because you want to generate record sales. You let radio do that because you want radio to play your song and you want them to generate record sales. You tour and you do concerts. You make a little money off that. Mostly you make it off merch, and you're using the concerts, again, to promote record sales. Well, there are no more record sales. The new model is there is access selling. And access selling is, I'm going to give you the ability to listen, but I'm not selling you a thing. I'm either selling you a download, which gives you an unlimited number of plays for 99 cents, generally speaking, or I'm giving you access through a Spotify or a Deezer or an RDO that says you'll get unlimited plays as long as you keep paying the monthly fee. I've seen some figures thrown around that the average person spends roughly $100 or less on music a year. CDs are still selling, so that includes CDs and digital downloads, versus somebody who pays $10 a month on Spotify is paying $120 a year. So you've got an industry that's got money, and you've got people trying to listen to music, trying to pay to listen to music. It's not even a piracy issue anymore. Why is everyone so upset about this? One last thing before I bring Eck back in here, because I think he's back. The reach is the other thing that you have to consider. AM/FM in the United States, according to Statista, reaches more than 200 million people a day. 200 million people a day in the United States. The number of monthly digital radio listeners is 147.8 million. The number of active Pandora users per month is 76.2 million. And the number of Spotify listeners worldwide, active listeners, are 40 million. We don't have the scale yet. I mean, you can look at that 0.006 cents and the 0.0084 cents and say that looks very tiny. But if suddenly Spotify had 268 million listeners, your share is going to go way up. They're going to make more money. They're going to be dividing up more money. There's going to be more plays, but the amount per play is going to go up. So I don't know if we can even say that this particular system has been road tested yet. It's different than radio. It's its own thing. Eck, where do you think where do you think the problem here is? It a matter of perception? Are the artists upset at the labels because they're not sharing enough money out of this, and there's just not much money coming out of Spotify yet? What's going on here?
Well, I was in the music industry for a long time, and I was with the Mercury Records for 10 years, and I toured around it, and we never saw any money off of any of this. So to me, there's a little bit of that in the back of your head. That, okay, we got played on the radio a lot, and we never saw radio money. So that's always been a myth anyway. What this actually does, I mean, I get why everyone's upset, and I get why Taylor's upset, and I get why other artists are upset as well. But what I think the problem with Spotify is it really doesn't. It can't be about money, because it's never going to be able to be about money, because it's really about advertising yourself, and it just is. It's the bottom line. I mean, when I was out before the internet really hit, in a big way. And I wish that we had Spotify at the time, because when we wanted people to listen to our music, we had to send them a CD or send them an MP, and it was just really difficult to get people. Now I can say, go on there, you can find my albums on Spotify, and now I'm not seeing any money from that, but there is still a benefit to me for that, a big benefit, bigger than any money I ever saw from anything I got from radio play. So, and then the big artists like Taylor Swift, they don't need this money from radio play either. I mean, this is not hurting her at all. So to me,
so you're saying her pulling her back catalog really is an easier thing for her to do?
It is, and it's a way of saying screw you, but at the same time, her fans, my daughter's a huge Taylor Swift fan. I've been to 3 concerts. They're getting it off of YouTube. They're not going to Spotify anyway. And the Spotify, it's a statement. Spotify is a definite statement by Taylor Swift to a certain, very specific group of people, in my mind. And sometimes we don't know everything involved. Like, I think that there's people involved with Spotify and the record labels, and like you say, the labels for sale. This is a particular statement, because it's not, YouTube. She's not going after YouTube, and that's where most of her people are going, is YouTube.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was looking at the Zoe Keating numbers. She put out a spreadsheet of her 2013 online sales and streaming to kind of try to educate people. This is what is going on with her. She had 403,035 plays on Spotify that year and made $1,764. YouTube, she had 1,943,263 streams and only made $1,247.92. Nearly all views are third-party videos and not all are monetized, she points out in her notes. But yeah, you don't hear YouTube being derided in the same terms as a Spotify or an RDO.
Because it behooves her to be there, and this behooves her to be there as well. Like we saw Taylor Swift that same year you're talking about 3 times with 4 people and probably spent about $1,000 ourselves. So she made that much on us alone as a family, that she made off of the Spotify play. Yeah, it's just that's not the money. It's not about the money with this thing. It's not. It's about some sort of respect that she's feeling disrespected in some way, shape, or form. Because it really, and I guess the money comes into disrespect in musicians a lot of times. But the benefits of Spotify and streaming services are so much greater to so many people than the disadvantages.
And here's where I mentioned this when I talked about Tom York earlier, is we still haven't figured out the right way for a musician to make money in this new scenario. And I'm not one of the people who's like, oh, music needs to be free. Maybe some music needs to be free the way music on radio was free for a long time, because that fits the model. But everyone, the conventional wisdom is, well, it's flipped on its head. You do tours and you make your money off concerts, but that's not true of everyone. And that's not something everybody can do easily either.
No, it's very difficult, and you're not going to get help with the record label on that either, right? So that's another situation that people run into for sure. And it's not, music shouldn't be free, but I think there's a difference between music that you're a fan of and music that you're a casual fan of. I think Spotify is a casual fan type music. Like, I'm a huge Radiohead fan, and I would buy all the Radiohead stuff all the time. But yeah, I'll listen to it on Spotify as well if that's the easiest thing for me to listen to it on. But I'm not going to not buy it. I've already bought the Taylor Swift album on iTunes. That's my daughter. We're going to see. I think casual fans though are where it comes into play with Spotify. Like, if you're not a big time Taylor Swift fan, yeah, you're gonna listen to your bunch of fans. You're like all the other people on the Disney Channel, for example, that you're going to listen to all of those kind of artists. But the diehard Taylor Swift fans, they're buying the album.
I think the myth is that there is some ethical way that we are supposed to exchange our money to an artist for their work, right? And there's not. The reason it was record sales is because that was something that was easy to count.
Yeah,
it was somebody realized, after sometime after Edison invented the record, like, hey, we can sell these things and nobody can easily take them. It's not like sheet music where people can just learn it and then teach somebody else and subvert us. These are hard to copy. So we'll use that. That'll be the way that we make money. Musicians before the record made money off sheet music, made money off performances. And so there just needs to be another, what is the way that is natural now for people to pay musicians? The whole reason Patreon exists is Jack Connie, a musician from the band Pomplamoose, as well as a solo musician, said, hey, maybe the way is just to cut out all the middlemen, get rid of the record labels, get rid of everybody, and say, hey, you, the listeners, if you want to hear what I have to make the music for you, support me directly, and then I'll give it to you.
Which is what you've done too, and what other people have done. What people have done. You do cut out the middle person. Cutting out the middle person, you absolutely. You're a brand as an artist. As a musician, you're a brand, and you're selling your brand. That's your entirety. And before albums came about, when there was no way of that, like you say, it was performing. That was your brand. Your brand was come see me do my thing, which you'll never be able to duplicate. You'll never be able to copy a JPEG of really being in a live performance, right? So that you'll never be able to duplicate. And anything you can't duplicate is a product. But yeah, the second something becomes duplicatable, it's a commodity more than a product, and it's something that, and I mean that in the way that I think of news as a commodity now. It just exists in the ether. It exists out there, and that's what matters is what people like yourself think about the news, or how I perform my song live versus on the album. But if you want to. You can't always see me play live because you can't travel. So when I'm not there, you can take this album and listen to it, and that's something else you can do. But really, that's just a reminder of the live thing. That's really the way musicians have to think of it. And I know it's harder because I toured around in a van for 8 years. I know what that's all about. But that is really the way music works. That is the way the whole thing flies.
Yeah, and the fact that so many other people in the country, friends of mine, as well as plenty of people I don't know, have done the same thing that you're talking about. You travel around in a van, you eat crappy food, you sleep in the van because you want to play the music, and yeah, you want to make money at it. But if you really wanted to make money, that wouldn't be the best way to go about it, right? You do it because you want to actually make the music, or you like the fame, you like the intention, you like the lifestyle. There's lots of reasons why. And I always come back to that when I talk about copyright law at all. It's like, what if we're going to put a law in place? If we're going to make Spotify pay their share and construct some kind of system, what is the purpose? Is it to create music? Is it to make sure we get music? Music will be made. You don't need to force Spotify to pay more. This is all a fight by rich people with other rich people, millionaires and billionaires. I know you're familiar with that, about the future. Yeah. When Spotify finally goes from being 40 million to 200 million, where those checks are going to get written. That's what this is about. Precisely.
And there are so many more people we learn about, so many more artists we learn about because of these things like Spotify and Pandora that never would have existed in our minds before. And that, when someone used to find out about us, we toured Borders bookstores and played like 70 of them across the country at the time. They would have to have stumbled in to buy the latest Tom Clancy book and heard us.
Yeah.
Now it's like there's a lot. There's no that element's taken out of it. That is so much more valuable to so many people than not having Spotify. It's just it's not even close. The difference is and to the people who really are losing money, like Taylor Swift in the world, if she thinks she's technically losing money, which she's not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, there's something else going on there, whether it's a personal thing or a perceived insult or polishing up the numbers for a label investment sale, or maybe some of all of that. Who knows?
Even if it is something that she does really believe in, and something that she actually says, okay, this is something that I really firmly believe in, and she thinks she's doing it for the little people or whatever, she's really not. It's hard sometimes to understand that perception when you're where she is, I think.
Sure. All right, let's take a look at the calendar. November 4th, 2014 is Google's Cloud Platform Live event in New York and San Francisco. And while it is sold out in those cities, you can still register to watch the live stream. Also, November 4th through the 6th is the Web Summit Conference in Dublin, Ireland, featuring the CEO of Oculus VR, the founder of Zynga, and some guy from private equity firm Elevation Partners. Is his name Larry Mullen Jr.? Oh, maybe Bono? Oh, yeah, it's Bono. That's who it is. November 4th through the 6th is also Dell World 2014 in Austin, Texas. And on this day in 1992, Tim Berners-Lee posted a page describing the World Wide Web, and it is the oldest page still served on the web. Our pick of the day comes from Comey in Fremont. Says, I wanted to mention Bluetooth Multipoint as my pick since it's a good feature with such a generic and ungoogleable name that nobody cares to notice. At least that's Comey's theory. Multipoint Bluetooth headphones compare with more than one device at the same time. I love listening to audio podcasts on my phone and watching video podcasts on the laptop on my bus commute. Before getting Multipoint headphones, it used to take sometimes up to a few minutes to unpair and repair every time I switched devices. Now, my multi-point Bluetooth headphones will play the audio from whichever device I'm using. The model I'm using is LG HBS 730, but I believe other ones work the same way too. So yeah, Comey from Nothing Really Goes On, but a chill place to live, Fremont. If it's Fremont, California, there's some really good Afghani restaurants there. I know that for sure.
I'll tell you what, I love the discussion you and Darren had on Friday about this, about Bluetooth, and just the concept of making phones smaller, that we don't need the headset anymore. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think that's exactly where
I would love that to get to be reliable enough for that to happen. And I think it's closer than Darren was giving him credit for.
It's going to get there. It definitely is. There's no question.
Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. People, keep them coming. We love getting them. And you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Got a message of the day from Nick in Australia. I have a counterpoint to the worry about the Australian government collecting metadata. Nick says, the Abbott government is hated by many Australians and is unlikely to win the next election in 2 years. He obviously has a viewpoint. He says, my point of view is let the politicians know we don't want the law, then don't worry about it too hard because the next government is likely to scrap the law because the two major political parties don't agree on any technological issue. I don't know if it's as much of a fait accompli as he's assuming here, but that would be the way, is, make your voice known to the politicians and let them know at the ballot box. I'm with you there, Nick. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And with the election day tomorrow in the States here too, it's a big day to do that as well. And you should really pay attention to that because especially technology can definitely get squelched, as we've seen by politicians.
Absolutely. And then Christian Cantrell, who was on the show last week, wrote in about the Amazon Fire Phone. We'll have his whole email in the show notes. It's actually really well done. But he was pointing out that he disagrees that it was the price point that was the problem with the Fire Phone. He says the reality is that Amazon significantly overestimated the Fire Phone's appeal as opposed to pricing it incorrectly. They were relying on Dynamic Perspective, Firefly, and Mayday to capture customers' imaginations, but Dynamic Perspective feels like a gimmick. Firefly feels like it should just be an app and is somewhat insulting to build into a phone since its entire purpose is to get you to spend more money with Amazon. And Mayday, while actually a very innovative feature, requires consumers to anticipate having a bad experience in order to give the perception of value, which nobody really wants to do when they're trying to get excited about a new phone. Those are all three great points and definitely make more sense to me than just price point.
Yeah, I don't think it's price point either. And I mean, I don't know, you've played around with the Apple Fire TV and as well, I know, and I love it actually. I think it's one of the best. I think it's better than Roku, better than Apple TV, to be honest. At this point, and what the killer feature of the Fire Phone should be is the fact that you can stream so easily to it, the TV, because that's what I use. I have a little Kindle Fire tablet, and that's my remote control for it, and it's way better than AirPlay. It's just so instantaneous and so clear. So that to me is they just missed what people would be interested in. They had something else that they thought people would be interested in, and people that didn't really do it, but. I don't think they're going to give up. I think that's a good. They should keep trying.
I will split the difference. I'll say if they had come out with it originally at $99, they would have gotten a lot more positive press about, you know what? You get a lot for $99 with this phone. And suddenly these objections that Christian very rightly brings up don't matter as much, but they still matter. Right, and that is the fundamental issue. And
people have phone plans like over a couple years out. That's the thing. Like, I'm going to wait till I get this contract goes in 2 years. It's different than buying a Fire TV or something like that. It's like a phone. You have a phone plan. Like, I'm going to wait till the next this comes out. So
yeah, you got to make sure that you're getting the people who are ready to change phones, and you're the phone that they're ready to change to. That's
exactly.
A very good point. Well, thanks, Eck. Always a pleasure, my friend. Twitter.com/Eklund. It's EKLUND. Follow him on Twitter. Check out Hockeybuzz.com. We are in the throes of the hockey season now. But what do you got to tell folks about?
We are, we have a podcast we do every day. It's sort of our version of the Daily Tech News Show, but a daily hockey news show at 1 o'clock. And yes, you can find that on my Google Plus page or YouTube page. And just if you're a hockey fan, we do talk about all kinds of crazy things too. I built my son's R2D2. I built my son an R2D2 for last year for Halloween, where he traveled around the neighborhood. This year, I built him a Pac-Man machine that he walked around the neighborhood in, which is really cool. It's a working Pac-Man machine with like an iPad and a Bluetooth joystick on it. So, and with a candy slot to play, so he would get kids all. It was hilarious. We got stuff. We do a lot of different things besides hockey in there too. So check it out.
Check it out, hockeybuzz.com. Thanks to our patrons, 4,537 of you, making sure that we continue to do the Daily Tech News Show, bringing on contributors like Justin Robert Young and Patrick Beja. We've got more plans in the works, and if you can support us on Patreon or buy a donation, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/donate. And you can also just support me directly by checking out my books at tommerdbooks.com. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what story we cover at our what story. Sometimes we do more than one at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can email us feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Our phone number is 512-59-DAILY, 512-593-2459. And you can listen to the show live, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific at mobile.alphageekradio.com or visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Pac-Man. That's amazing.
Oh, it's so cool. I gotta show you. Can just this chat room work? Like I could show you a link real quick. Our little chat thing in here. But yeah, because I'll show you a link to it. It was really cool. It was so much fun, and he just absolutely loved it.
That just sounds like a dream come true for a kid.
It wasn't as cool as the R2D2, which was actually on a motorized go-kart you could drive around in. And so all of his friends, that still is like basically a toy that's used through the neighborhood. But here's a link. I'll show you so you got a link to it. But yeah, this was the thing. It was pretty darn cool. I was really surprised how much the parents were just like, oh my gosh, I got to play that. That's so cool. So they were. Let me see. Here it is. They all the parents wanted to play with it and everything. It was great. and just like the bigger kids stopped them. It was super lightweight because there's a link. I put it up in there in the group chat. You guys have the group chat on there?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is just like a little short walkthrough I took of it. But
can we put it in our chat room? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So it was like basically PVC piping and duct tape. And so it was super light. Like he could actually lift it up. He's 9. He could lift it up over his head. That's how light it was. It just
wow. This is incredible.
And it just had, he loved it, and we worked on it for about a week. And it was like an iCade controller on the front, and then an iPad Mini. So it could play lots of games, and it was light, and inside he had controls of the various lights that flashed on it. It's just fun. He was really.
I think Eck might be the coolest dad ever.
That's insane.
You take your kids to Taylor Swift concerts. You build them Pac-Man console Halloween costumes. I mean, this is ridiculous.
The R2D2 though. Eventually, I'll get a link. I got to do a movie about the R2D2 thing because that was the funnest. That was the most fun thing I've ever done, and it was just crazy, insanely cool. And I actually videotaped it like with him walking around the neighborhood where you could see inside and outside. Like I had a little camera that had both a 2-direction thing. So he was like inside, he's like dun 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 dun. He's driving it through the neighborhood.
Oh man,
that's great.
And I had an iPad on the front of it, so you could see him inside the R2D2. So I had an iPad camera like that's posting inside, so you could see like the picture of him inside.
I remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so much. It was so much fun. Yeah, I've had on the inside looking out, so it was crazy. But so that was Halloween.
So we have, not surprisingly, a lot of title options. Because nothing gets the title machines going like T-Swift.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot of action or a lot of ideas coming swiftly into the chat room when you have that name.
So far I will just say TVZ Gun Flying the Bearded Skies with Ace Detect is awesome, but maybe not about what our show is about. But we have the swift departure from Spotify, from BioCow, which I like. Taylor Swift dumps Spotify, which is from some chick, I don't know. We have
from Jenny, by the way. She's not insulting someone in the audience. For those who don't see that,
we have Swift Injustice from Beatmaster, which I actually adore.
Cool. Yeah.
And then, of course, Spotify killed the radio star from Captain Kipper, which is fantastic. There's so many great ones. And then, of course, I'm particularly fond of I Feel the Need, the need for Apple Pay.
Mine would be we are probably not ever getting back together.
Yeah.
Where's that one?
That's
hilarious.
That's my own one.
Oh, you just made that up?
Yeah.
That's good.
At least
we
not
are
for now.
Probably not getting back together.
Unless revenue projections are favorable.
Right, unless revenue projections are
Without a more increased per track streaming plan, we are
Oh,
probably
man.
not getting back together.
Oh man, I love T Swift.
Oh yeah, wouldn't you want to date her?
No, I wouldn't want to date her, raise her, but I would like to go shopping with her in New York. Like, that is for sure. And I want to hang out with her and Emma Stone in, like, a kitchen somewhere.
She goes on too many dates.
now.
Talented. And she's crazy. She's crazy talented. She's a great
She
writer.
can't make them stay.
I know. No, she's not, she's not fun to date. I wouldn't date her.
Just another young lady trying to figure it all out in the public eye.
How you can write music and live her life, I don't understand. There's no real life experiences that she's actually existing through to actually write songs about real life things that people can relate.
I mean, I know what you mean. She's got real life things to talk about. Like all those things in her most recent song are about real life, but it's not a common experience, I guess.
Is it the most relatable real life? I don't know, but you know what? It's hers. She was created in a lab for the internet, and we are grateful.
She is genuinely her.
No, I think she's totally genuine. I think she is absolutely 100% the real deal. I met her. I think she's great. I think she's absolutely there 100%. But I don't. I just want. I'm honestly, legitimately saying I'm impressed by how she can write these things because it's like I know her schedule is just insane, and I can't think of it. Like she puts out albums every year. Like that's got to be harder than putting out iPhones every year in my mind because she's just that crazy. I mean, what she's doing, the touring, the traveling she's doing.
Yeah,
and she blows away.
The touring is nuts.
I know. And we went to see Selena Gomez last year because that was something I had to do, I guess, because I have a 13-year-old. And that was just horrible. I mean, she was terrible, and it was obvious. That was like a Disney made-for-TV production. Like that was not a Taylor. Taylor Swift is like real. You're going to a real concert. You really feel it.
Sounds like Eck needs some Swiftamine.
Swiftamine.
Did you see you probably didn't see SNL this weekend, but I'm obsessed with. They did this fake commercial for a product called Swiftamine, which is what happens when you suddenly get dizzy because you realize you like Taylor Swift, and it's hilarious. I'll put the link in. It's hilarious.
So, Swift injustice, Swift departure from Spotify, or Taylor Swift dumps Spotify?
I feel like Taylor Swift dumps Spotify is the first thing every other site is going to use. Yeah. So I have stress about that. It's either for me Swift departure from Spotify or Swift injustice. Although I hesitate on putting injustice on.
Swift out.
Yeah.
Swift out.
The Swiffer.
Yeah. I do like Spotify's Trouble asterisk goat yells. That is.
So T2 with the JB Hanna spin.
Yeah, I do like that.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Let me look down at the.
Someone's got to do
There's some gems in the bottom.
For the new song, they need like a YouTube video with geese. There's that sound that's in the background, like. It's in the background, and it was just like it sounds like a group of Canadian geese flying overhead. So that's what I think they need to do.
Did you see Todd Whitehead's
Or we could go deep. We could go deep meme and say Becky's still on Spotify.
Ooh. Nice.
Wait. Todd Whitehead has one. He says Swift says streamers strangle singers' sales.
Oh man.
I think I'm gonna go with Spotify's Trouble Goat Yells.
Oh wait, and CS803 has Spotify not tailor made for Swift. I mean, that's deep. That is deep.
That's Curtis B.
It's deep, yeah.
Yeah, that's CS. Yeah, that's Curtis B. Sorry,
It's a good one. I like it. I like that. I like to play on it though.
Yeah. The streaming music makes sense as CS803s, which I like as well.
If you want to find out which title I pick,
That's
subscribe to the podcast at DailyTechNewsShow.com.
This is you gotta take advantage. This is your link. This is your link bait title, Tom. This is you got Taylor Swift today. This is not like
I know. I'm probably not taking the best advantage that I should.
This is not LTE over the air. This is real.
Nope. I told Tom this before we went on the air, but I must watch the video for Shake It Off like maybe once a day, just because I'm sort of obsessed with its like perfection of.
Yep.
It's a great
obsessed
music
with its perfection, is what you just said.
I'm obsessed with its perfection as a
point that out.
3-minute music video, because it's just like it hits every button with complete precision and deadly force, and it
Actually,
works.
I like this. Spotify, I'm not going to let you finish.
Yeah.
That's a good. I like that.
You were saying the perfection of the 3-minute video.
Well, you're right, Jenny. It is totally that, and they're the only. The funny thing is, like, these are the kind of artists who are the only ones still doing those kind of things, like in that way.
Yeah, I agree, and like, it's funny. Like, I forget about, because like I'm not a YouTube native really. I forget that music videos are still happening because I was so into them in the 80s on MTV, and then MTV stopped being MTV or stopped being videos. And so I forgot. And then every once in a while around this time of year, I'm like, these videos are amazing. Like you'll see the Sia video, because I see the Sia, this is how old I am. I see the Sia video because I saw the parody with Jim Carrey and Kate McKinnon on SNL. Like, it's incredible. You could tell what I'm really obsessed with, really, is comedy.
No, I'm totally there. I completely agree.
And
they are. I mean,
so
some of the
good.
Lady Gaga videos are like great sci-fi things.
Great,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, they're really just like, and they're really underappreciated because they're really only on Vimeo now. And I mean, that's not underappreciated because it's hard to say anything on Vimeo that's underappreciated. I guess that gets played a zillion times, but compared to, like you said, like we grew up with, the Spaceman and MTV and all that. No.
Just amazing. I will say that the smartest people I've ever heard, aside from the two of you, talking about the problems of the music industry was Dave Allen, who used to be at sort of like a consulting firm called North and is now, unfortunately, for us, that we can't book him, at Beats. And also Hank Shockley, who used to be a Public Enemy. And Dave Allen was in the group The Gang of Four. And so Molly Wood did a panel on music streaming issues at CES in which these guys were the guests, and it was one of the smartest exchanges I think I've ever seen about the topic. And the conclusion that they both came to after they got done reducing the guy from the RIAA into little shredded shrivels was that the music industry is broken, and that in 10 years the only thing the music labels will be doing, and Tom mentioned this too, is marketing. That's it. That they will be marketing arms, and everything else will be a different way. And again, I believe I'm correctly attributing this to Dave Allen, but he did say, just wait for the scale to catch up to the potential of these streaming services. He said, as someone who got royally blonkered by record labels when he was in music, that this is something that he still, I mean, he's at Beats, so he's still technically...
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I forgot one thing I was going to say about this because I got thrown by my friggin' Chrome. What's the deal? I do podcasts every day and my Chrome freezes when I'm like on your show. It's just like, anyway, but I got thrown. But what I was going to say was that where Spotify's done a lot better in the last few years is actually linking people to those artists more, like taking people from like listeners to fans, which is really that's what the artist should be asking for more links to my shows and tours on there to actually show people.
Right. Spotify has merch and concert ticket links now.
Right. That's why, it's harder to complain about Spotify now than it was maybe like 5 years ago or 4 years, not 5 years ago. I know it's like 3 years ago now, but that's because that's where they can really help artists. I mean, we found a band, Andrew McMahon. Have you ever heard of Andrew McMahon?
Mm-mm.
He was in Something Corporate was his first band, and then another one. He's in like 3 bands, and my wife became obsessed with this one song of his because of a Spotify playlist. We were at a campfire, and I put on a Spotify playlist called Spotify Playlist for a Campfire. Literally, the first song that came on was this song by Something Corporate called Constantine with a K, and it was this phenomenal 9-minute-long ballad, something you never would have heard on the radio ever. 9 minutes, a story song, like a Harry Chapin-esque story song in a modern way. And because
what was it called? I want to listen.
Constantine with a K. So it's and the band Something Corporate. It's an amazing, and literally my wife hasn't stopped playing it for a month. And it's awesome. And we actually, so then we looked it up, and he's not in the band. The band broke up in 2004. Well, then he went to this other band. Okay, that band broke up in 2008, and now he's on a solo tour, and he's coming to town next week. And all this is from Spotify. So now we're going to see this guy play, and I check him out on Twitter, and he's following me on Twitter. So he's a hockey fan.
Wow.
Nice.
So I send him a direct message. I'm like, man, I know you probably don't play. He says, no, I still play that song live. I'm going to do it. I'm like, oh, all right, we're there, you know. It's just, but that's the story. I mean, that's the way it should work.
Well, and that is the way I want it to work more often. My only criticism as a fan of RDO, and that's the one I use, is that I'll discover these like weird geek musicians or offbeat indie tracks, or not even indie, just like check out what this person is doing, and they're not there. They're not on RDO, right? So people say, oh, well, Google All Access is your solution, because then you get the streaming thing plus the ability to add tracks to your playlist indirectly. But it's not as easy as they make it sound. I want either RDO to let me very easily add my own tracks, which they sort of do, but it's clunky, or I want a service that's like, whatever track exists under the sun, we'll add it and we'll have it and we'll figure out how to pay them.
Right. I completely agree, and that is really frustrating when an artist isn't on Spotify. Like it's or already.
And it's not even just big artists; it's the smaller artists who really could need Spotify.
Right, because they're the ones that and then you go to YouTube, you try all these other things. But yeah, I mean that's.
My wife was thinking of switching us from, because it's a family plan, from RDO to Spotify. I don't know. She said, I don't know what the Taylor Swift thing's going to do. Maybe we'll just stay on RDO where Taylor's music still exists. Because
I mean, it's like
I'd say we both really, that's our deciding factor is Taylor Swift's music. But
yeah, I didn't realize that was such a driving force behind it.
Yes, totally.
But yeah, no, but I think that is definitely I mean, they both play through Sonos, so that's like, to me, that's the thing. Like Spotify plays through Sonos, so that's awesome. And
yeah, and RDO does too.
Yeah.
Weird thing about Sonos, that's a whole different thing though, is I have to access my playlists through my wife's account, because you can't have two accounts on Sonos. But
yeah, that is messed up.
That's a talk for another day.
Yeah.
That is a talk for another day.
How much was Eck like the perfect person to have on today for this?
Oh yeah, it was great.
I was so
I
excited.
always forget that you're like the music guy too. You're the hockey guy, the music guy. Amazing.
I had some crazy music stories. I mean, because we were really at that edge. Like we did one song. We did this thing like we'll put out an MP3 of one song a month, and this was in like 2002, I guess. It was really pretty like crazy early for that kind of thing, and the record company got really pissed at us. We had to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like things like that. Like I went through all this. Like I went through big guys in record companies saying, "Oh, do you know the internet? Well, no, we won't give you any money for that." And yeah, it's just a lot of. And I look at it now and I'm like, wow, it's so. I kind of the band still plays once in a while. We do like shows for people. And now if we were doing it now, it'd be so much easier to market ourselves. Oh my gosh.
That's exactly what Dave Allen said. He said he wished, like anything, that his catalog was, his catalog is like locked away by some label forever and ever and ever, but he wished, like anything, he was a newer artist now, because it's just, the options are there. Like, and like his advice for young artists is like, just don't sign with a label. Be part of the people who figure out the other way.
Or if you sign with a label, don't give them all your rights the way that you used to.
Yeah, make it like no more than 2 or 3 albums, like, because they always want to sign it for 7 albums. Like we did.
And make sure you own your content. I think that would be
content.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's almost impossible, because they have that in the universe. The contracts. We own it in the universe. That's actually in their contract.
Yeah, right. I know.
Play in the universe. So
that's like a serious consideration now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Is, actually, could be good for artists with Spotify not paying royalties. Is maybe like we have 2 albums that are still owned by Mercury Records. I just want back. They're not making them any money for them. I just would like I would like to buy them. I would pay money for them. I would pay $40,000 for them even, and I don't think they're making that money on them per year now. I mean, they sold 100,000 in probably in total, right? 100,000 copies. So I would like to, and maybe if Spotify's not paying royalties, maybe then they don't care about them. That's part that had to go through my head. Maybe they're like, okay, well, there's no one really, they're not printing them anymore. You can download
smell a
them.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But it's
X Records back.
No, it's just one of those things, and I think artists have to look at that too. There's so many, and you shouldn't. I mean, it comes down to how good you are. And that's the great thing about music, really. It does come down to like if you're connecting with people more than how good you are. If what you're doing is actually something that's communicating with people back and forth, then you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed in this day and age. And you can at
You
least
have a much better chance of succeeding than you used to.
right. And I did a conference one time, the Philadelphia Folk Festival with Amy Mann. We basically the two of us. This is right before she met Michael Penn and all that. And we did this thing called the middle-aged musician, and we did a talk on it, and it was that's much more able to be done now than when we talked about it. So.
Well, sadly, I'm out of the post.
Yes, and I'm about to receive a phone call that I shouldn't miss, or else chaos will ensue.
All right.
Remember to think of me for your.
You're awesome, as
show.
always.
I want to be on your prediction show. If you can.
Talk to Tom. Talk to Tom. I'm all in.
Why not? Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Because I never got to do my, the podcast I wanted to do with you and Scott about predicting things. I love predicting things.
Oh, you never got to be on Forecast. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We should have you on Current Geek too, so you can at least take part in the Forecast segment.
I would love that too, but anytime at all. But yeah, if you do a prediction show, just let me know. I mean,
We'll
way more
do one.
important people than me.
We'll talk.
It would be fun.
All right, I'm dropping off because I'm going to miss my call.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.